What? On Film Threat Reviews. Hi, I'm Alan Ning. I'm Zorianna Kit, and today we review Sound of Metal. This is on video on demand. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below on what you thought of Sound of Metal. A heavy metal drummer's life is thrown into freefall when he begins losing his hearing. It's directed by Darius Marder, stars Riz Ahmed, Olivia Cooke, and Paul Raci. Yeah, this is a very interesting movie. This is this is definitely, to me, Sound of Metal is one of these art films. It's less about a standard story structure, but it's more about an experience. And it feels like a documentary, but it isn't a documentary. I have lots of feelings about this movie. What did you think of Sound of Metal?
Wow, I was floored. I was blown away. I don't even know where to begin. First of all, if you ever want to see a star-making performance, if you ever want to see someone where all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, it's Riz Ahmed. He is spectacular. I mean, we've seen him before in many things. I mean, he's an Emmy-winning actor. He's had parts in Jason Bourne. He was terrific in Nightcrawler as Jake Gyllenhaal's videographer. He was in Rogue One. But he's never had that one singular role like the one we see him having here. He carries this movie. It's all in his eyes, and he just draws you in, and you're just like, he's magnetic here to be able to do this. So just from that standpoint alone.
Yeah, you mentioned something about being in his eyes, or I was gonna say in his shoes. This movie puts you right into the character of Ruben that he plays. He's a heavy metal drummer who, after years and years of being in a band, is losing his hearing, and now he has to deal with that. And he goes to a Christian camp for the deaf. He looks into cochlear implants. He has conflicts with his girlfriend. There's a lot going on here, and I was guessing all the time. This is a really fascinating story, and it's if you're not, definitely don't go in with expectations that you're going to see your typical Hollywood film.
There's nothing typical here, because just based on the image that I saw of the poster of Riz on drums, I was like, oh, I don't want to see like another movie. I just don't want to see a rock star performing. But that's just at the beginning when he has his hearing, and very quickly it turns into something else. But it's unusual in the fact that not only is this a movie about deafness, it is a movie about addiction as well, because he is someone who is battling both. And what's so interesting is the sound in this film. Other than Riz Ahmed being the star, truly, like, he is a star. There's no denying this guy is just, after this, I mean, he's going to be placed in a whole other echelon in Hollywood. But from behind the scenes, I think the sound designer or whoever just orchestrated that, the sound is also very much the star of the film, because we were in his point of view and in his head when the film turns the sound off for us and we can't hear, or we think we hear muffled things and stuff like that. And then when we're meant to hear the whole world and stand back outside of his experience, then we have sound. There's also subtitles on the screen to further try to enhance, the experience for maybe people who are watching the film and they literally cannot hear. Yeah. So we really we get to know what his world is like when the sound is turned off. And that's to what you said earlier about this being an experience. This is an experience. And I'm so sad that this is something that's that won't be in theaters too.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. The thing that hurt this movie the most is that I'm watching it at home. You need to be in a dark room with a large screen and a great sound system.
No distractions.
No distractions.
No kids in the background. No phones ringing. Like, really immerse yourself, please. Mm-hmm. I'm imploring you to.
Because I mean, to be honest, I think the story does suffer when you are distracted, when you're not. And that's why I keep reemphasizing this is not your typical Hollywood story, at least in it's the style of its storytelling. And it's best to just sit there and just take it in, because you are, and when I say placed in his shoes, you are placed in his shoes, even though you may not be like him or may not have a lot in common with the character of Ruben. Darius Marder, he gets you into those shoes. He ties them up, and you can't take them off. So there's this experience going on, but then there's also kind of a social message behind it as well, where he is losing his hearing. He is a drummer, and that's kind of the death nail in his dreams, his passions. And then there's this question of, he goes to this camp for the deaf, or I'm not exactly sure the right term for it, but there's this debate going on as to this idea of whether disabilities are, how do I put it here? Are disabilities something that needs to be fixed, or, and if they are, that then implies that people are defective. And I think that's a question that really, that is the heart of the second and third act here, as he struggles with that.
Yes, and that's what makes the film interesting when he's in this camp / rehab facility, I guess, because they tell him right off the bat, we're not here to cure you. We're not here to help you regain your hearing. We don't see deafness as a disability. We're here to give you the tools. So he does learn the sign language. He's reluctant at first, but he does learn the sign language. And we see him, he's making friends there, and we see him interacting with little children, even teaching them how to drum, and they're all deaf. And so it's changed him. Being there changed him. But the moment, but he still can't let go of the fact that he's determined to find some way, some operation to get his hearing back. And that goes against everything that facility stands for. And that creates friction.
Right. And to me, the most fascinating part of that story is it's treated like an addiction. Like, he's not on drugs. He's not, there's no, being high or shooting up, but he is in a situation where he is basically going through the 12-step program, and he doesn't even know it. And to me, that was just like, wow, that's an extra dimension to the story that I just wasn't expecting.
Well, at one point when he's telling the man who is running the facility that he's going to go and do this. He wants to go and get this. He wants to fix his hearing. The guy literally says, "You are acting like an addict. You're behaving like an addict." He calls him out on that. So it's very, credit goes to Riz Ahmed for portraying this character so real. That's where I think when you said that it feels like a documentary, it feels like this is a real person that we're watching. The performance is so restrained. There is not a false note to it. It is, a part like that, we reviewed Hillbilly Elegy previously, and my complaint with that film, that it was so melodramatic. You've got, a drug-addicted mother battling with her mother. They all have their childhood trauma. And that, like, everyone was on a high decibel of hysteria in that movie. There's none of that here. Everything is just so restrained. And again, I go back to his eyes. It's all behind his eyes. It's
and I would, along with Ahmed's performance, the writing and directing of Darius Marder, there's a distinct vision that he has with his story, and he brings it right across. He knew how to shoot things. He knew how to, it's just this experience that Riz Ahmed is giving you. There has to be a guy behind the camera to bring that story across. And, this is just a fantastic film. The
ending, don't give away.
Oh, yeah, the ending. Oh,
I don't want to give away the ending, but it broke my heart. It broke my heart into a billion pieces, and it's just like, you have to respect the character's decision, and whatever decision he would end up making, there would be consequences for someone somewhere, right? Yeah. And so you can't even advise them how best to choose. And so your heart does break. Your heart does break a lot.
All right, so you're very emotional and very gushing about this movie. So I'm guessing a 9, maybe 9.5.
Without a doubt. And honestly, I would love to see Riz Ahmed get a Best Actor Oscar nomination. I would just love to see that for him. I think he's very well deserving of this recognition. But I think just this performance alone, I think, is a game changer for his career regardless. So a 9 for me. I don't think you liked it as much as I did, but I know that you really, really enjoyed this film. Yeah. And I think if you'd seen it in a movie theater, you probably would have even given it a higher rating. But I think that you stuck with your 8.
Yeah, 8. Again, it's a really good movie, and you need to see it. And I love filmmakers who do something different, and this is very different. And so why didn't I give it a 9? Maybe I think to give it a 9, I needed to see something a lot more heightened, maybe. And as good as it is, I just needed something a little bit more to just really shove it into that 9 category. But other than that, absolutely great filmmaking. Go in, have zero expectations whatsoever, and just enjoy and experience this movie.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, again, please like, subscribe, comment below whether you agree with me or Zorianna. We want to know. So with that, let's get out of here.